I should really learn to never say never. All right, YouTube, lock and load ninjas. I'm here today to make a confession, and I've been speaking with some people. I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I decided to take a critical look at my choice of what was going to be the handgun that I carried, the definitive handgun that I've carried. And for me, for the longest time, it was Glock. But there were some things about him that I, like, Glock, to me, at that particular time, we're talking 3rd gen, wasn't finished. And they were out there touting all this Glock perfection and everything else. And I just didn't see it. Most of the Glocks that I carried at the time were all worked over by Agency Arms, one of my sponsors at the time. And then it was turned into something altogether different. But I've been having a couple of discussions with a couple of people. Steve Fisher. Steve is now, I'm one of his alumnus, if you will. I've gone to one Sentinel Concepts class. I will go to others. And Steve fires a variety of guns. He has no one gun that he calls a favorite. He gets guns from Ernest Langdon, who reworks Berettas. He's an Agency Arms asset. He's a Nighthawk, and he's also a developer with every company he's involved with. So like his associations with Nighthawk and Agency Arms and Knight's Armament, as an example, does not preclude him from also shooting and enjoying CZ, who's a sponsor of mine. It doesn't keep him from shooting and enjoying Beretta, which, Ernest Langdon works over for him. He likes FN. So, after I spent some time with him down in the low part of the state in October, I started thinking a little bit about things. And then Dave Harrington, he was on the show and we were talking, and Dave used to shoot very highly modified 1911s. And Dave is, they call him Super Dave because of his background and because of the way he teaches and everything else. But now Dave has, he pretty much carries, I think, Glocks. So I've taken another look at them. Now, the one that Dave was telling me to look at was this one, the Glock G45, which is a 9mm pistol, but it is the, it's another name, I think, for the 19X. At the time, I wasn't buying Glocks, so, the 19X was a FDE colored gun, but it is basically a Glock 19 size slide with a Glock 17 sized grip. So you have 17 rounds. This one is set up for a suppressor, which I don't own one of. It also has suppressor sights, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, I got this after my first attempt to find this. My first attempt to find this didn't work out very well. Although I'm not unhappy with what I found. This is a Glock 17. I got this primarily because if you can see this, and I'm going to pull it up close and maybe we can focus in on that. This has an Agency Arms trigger in it. Now, when Agency Arms was a sponsor of mine, I always thought their trigger was that was worth the price of admission. But this is a Gen 4, which I'd never fired a Gen 4 before either. So I found this used. And because of this trigger, and it's got some night sights on it, and somebody was a big Punisher fan. But because of the gun, the way it's set up, I figured, okay. So I got this one before I found the Gen 40, or the G45 rather. So I took him out to shoot him while I was testing my bag. So, I just did a video about double stack versus single stack and some other things. And I do think there's a place for Glock. Now, I'm going to compare these guns with a few other guns simply because I can and because it'll be fun. But I still haven't changed my mind about thinking CZ makes the best striker-fired gun. I think as soon as, and CZ is being embraced right now by third-party manufacturers who are making all kinds of accessories for them, and they are moving rapidly. However, you can't say that there's not a aftermarket, third-party aftermarket support for Glock, as we all know. So holsters, everything else is out there available for them. But the thing is about, let's talk about this particular gun, because this is the gun that Dave was telling me I should try, simply because it's a 5th gen. My problem with Glock is that in the beginning, especially with the trigger seemed a little sloppy to me, a little spongy to begin with. Sentinel Concepts method is touch, press, roll. Okay? Now, when I picked this gun up, I noticed that this was what Dave Harrington told me it would be. He told me the trigger was better, and he was right. I also noticed that they did away, and I know this is old hat, but they did away with the finger grooves, because that's one thing that Agency Arms used to do, would be grind down the finger grooves. So that's gone. And this one has suppressor sights. Now, one thing I noticed when I was shooting it is that the suppressor sights they don't seem to work nearly as good as these do. So we may be changing the suppressor sights. I've sort of got my eyeballs on a Agency Arms, I think it's a 3-port compensator. I talked to Steve about this. He thought it would be a good addition to it, not because I need it, but because this hand is arthritic or it's got tendonitis or something in it. So after I shoot for a long time, I began to hurt. So if this would be a gun that I could shoot without hurting, that would be one out of all the rest of them. But that's all beside the point. So I'm not going to say I stand corrected. The reasons that I had for not having Glocks are still there, because none of them ever had to do with the guns. It had to do with the man, it had to do with Gaston. But now I've listened to some advice, and I was not led wrong. So, and that's good. More guns for me, right? So, if I've insulted anybody by talking bad about Glock for the last 2 years, I apologize. What do you think? Is there more than one gun that you like? Let me know. Let me know which guns you carry. Do you carry Glocks? Do you carry 1911s? Last time with the single stack, double stack, I got some good feedback. Tell me some more. Tell me what with your double stack guns, what are you carrying? Have you tried the CZ P10 series? That kind of thing. If you like this kind of content, and I hope you do, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. And subscribing, I'd appreciate that. I'm demonetized now, so I have to ask you to do that because I don't show up anywhere else. Stay tuned. I'll be back. But for now, I'm out of here.